Hello, Simon Butler here, still in the office here in South London, working from home. And I have a question for you, and it's this. When you're needing to generate and develop quality ideas, fresh content, new ways of thinking about things, how do you do it? I don't mean just for people who are in a role where, for example, in an innovation team within an FMCG business, something that specific. I mean, as it happens, earlier in my career, I did spend time in a brands agency where idea generation and innovation was a core component of the work that I did and also that the firm did. But I mean more widely in working life, because whether you're in corporate life or you run your own business, you're an entrepreneur, freelancer perhaps, or indeed you're a coach or a content matter expert, perhaps even a professional speaker, then you'll know that the ability to develop fresh ways of thinking about things, developing good ideas is and can be really, really important. Certainly if you're wanting to differentiate yourself or differentiate your organisation. So the question is how best to do that, because it's not always easy, is it? Certainly from my experience, I've found that very rarely do my best ideas come when I am sat at my desk with my notebook, there we go, just poring over notes or with a Word document in front of me. I don't find the best ideas come in that environment. I've, over the years, explored all sorts of different ways in which to get the mind whirring and to allow the mind to sort of roam freely, because I need to be relaxed when, I find at least, when for good ideas to come. Here's what I've learned. Physical environment matters. I don't just mean in terms of where you are, but also what you're doing. By which I mean this, that if I'm physically doing something else, something that is unrelated to what I wanted to think about, so long as it's routine, so long as it's quite repetitive and not too mentally taxing, that can be a really quite helpful catalyst. Now for me in particular, I've long enjoyed athletics. As a teenager, I took it really quite seriously alongside rugby, and to this day I really enjoy running. I really do, if I can avoid getting injured and shin splints from running on roads. But I found so many of my best ideas come when I'm out running. Maybe it's something to do with being physically active, or it's the routine nature of just the actual movement, or it's just the fresh air, the just seeing the world go by as I run through the streets or around the common or whatever it is. It doesn't happen straight away. I find it does take a few minutes to get into it. So if I do a sprint around the block for 5 minutes, that won't work because I'll be too tired and too focused on feeling tired. So it needs to be a bit gentler than that. A good 25 minutes, half an hour, but that's enough time to start to get into a flow. So it does take a little bit of time to get into the zone. But I found that ideas do come. I can remember in particular a few years ago when I was preparing for the Public Speaking World Championships, which that year were being held in Vancouver, and I was looking to develop a new idea for a speech from scratch back in the February for the club round of the contest. And an idea came to me when I was on a treadmill in the local gym. I had to literally stop, write in the message, the idea into my phone, and it became the core message that underpinned the speech that I took from club level in the February right the way through to the World Semi-Final in Vancouver, Canada, and which won me a place to get into the final. And it came from running on a treadmill and then noting down the thought. So I wonder for you, what kind of environments work for you? Now, it may well be that it's not running. I mean, it might be that it's whilst you're, you might be cooking, or you might be sitting on a train gazing out the window, or just listening to music. Earlier today I was listening, you can actually see a screenshot there on my computer, maybe not quite the details, but still, trust me, the lady in green there is Sarah Blakely. I've just been following the early stages of a class that she's teaching on entrepreneurship. And Sarah Blakely, as you may or may not be aware, founder of Spanx, the women's clothing brand, and a billionaire, self-made billionaire. I mean, no slouch. Wow, what an amazing achievement. What a journey she's been on. And it's interesting, listening to the first couple of classes this morning, which is perhaps why this idea is in my head. She was saying that for her, with idea generation, you've got to let your mind, how does she describe it? Let your mind wander and put yourself in the right kind of place to do that. And for her, it's being in the car. She said that being in the car is where so much of her best thinking would come from. And when she realised that, it took quite a while for her to clock that. She said it's a really big moment. And so she contrived her own artificial commute. Despite living only 6 minutes drive from the office, she would deliberately get up earlier than she needed to so that she could drive for up to an hour on a mazy commute through the streets all over the place, Spaghetti Junction, before coming back to back to the office because it gave her precious thinking time. Well, it served her well, right? And look at the journey that she's been on. So it's something to consider. What environment works for you? And it may be something that you take for granted. Maybe you're taking the dog for a walk. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's whilst playing the piano. But something which is relatively routine and straightforward for you to actually physically do, but which frees up then mental bandwidth to roam free across all the experiences and the possibilities and the ideas and insights that you may have, which are all bubbling there away in the backs of our minds. But sometimes they need a little bit of space to allow us to then draw them out and to develop them. If you're watching this anywhere other than my website, check out simonbucknell.com. That's my digital home online. Would love for you to post a comment, or if you like what you've heard, then give me a thumbs up. That would be great. And if you're not already, feel free to follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. So in the meantime, I wish you well and speak soon.